Anytime you're giving a presentation in front of a group of people, usually you're trying to sell something. Even if it's just ideas, you want to be able to present it in a manner that has uniform to it. And Microsoft's PowerPoint here is going to be able to do that for us. Basically all PowerPoint is just a bunch of blank screens that you can go ahead and throw up images on there, or text, or it even allows you to create a little bit of animation so your audience doesn't get bored. Of course, too much animation or too much design on these blank screens or slides that we're about to start working on can be a little bit over-arousing, or too much information that people might be more distracted by the noise of your slides than the actual point or presentation you're trying to make. So it's a balance between being artistic and not just for the sake of saying, hey, gee whiz, look what I can do, because then it'll ruin the whole presentation. So simply said, it's depending upon your audience. If your audience is a bunch of filmmakers, they want to see all the gee whiz effects. If they're just a bunch of people in the boardroom, they want facts, they want it quick, and they don't want a bunch of gee whiz effects. You don't want to lose your audience. You can see right here that I got the PowerPoint shortcut to the program, so all I have to do is double click on it and it'll open up the program. But if you don't have it on your desktop and you want to add it to your desktop, or you want to add it to your quick launch toolbar down below, and if you haven't watched Windows Vista Level 1 training video, you want to watch that if you want to go ahead and customize your quick launch toolbar, or even know what the heck that is. So to get started, click on the Start button here, come in the instant search box and type in PowerPoint, or begin typing it. And as you begin typing it, you can see up at the top in the programs, well, it's bringing up two PowerPoints. One's the viewer and one's just PowerPoint. The difference between the two is this is the actual program. The one that says viewer, we're going to learn that later on in level 1 here. It allows you to package your PowerPoint presentation along with the viewer that allows you to watch it on a computer that doesn't have PowerPoint. Because as you already know, if your computer doesn't have the program, you can't work in the program. So if you go to a computer that doesn't have PowerPoint, you can at least view it by packaging the viewer with it. And again, we'll show you how to do that later on. But the main program right here is PowerPoint. And what we want to do is you want to be able to click on it to open up PowerPoint. Or if you don't want to keep coming in here and typing it in the instant search field down below, and you want to add it to the desktop like I did right here, or better yet to the quick launch toolbar, again, you want to watch Windows Vista Level 1 training video to learn how to do that. But let me show you. Click on the Start button. Again, we can go PowerPoint. Come up here. When in doubt, you can go ahead and right-click and get your shortcut menu, and you can send it to your desktop to create a shortcut. Click on that. You can see it adds it a second time because I already have it there on my desktop. Or you can also right-click and go down and add it to your quick launch. When you click on it, click off in a blank area. Down here, your quick launch, you click on its expandable button, and it's right there as well. So I'm going to click off in a blank area. I only need one of these shortcuts. You see there's PowerPoint and here's PowerPoint 2. So it's numbering them sequentially for me because it can't give it the same name. So I only need one, so I'm going to go ahead and right click and left click on delete and say yes and throw that one to the garbage can. So to get started, now that I have the shortcut on my desktop, I can double click to open it up. Opens up the program and close out, and if I need to open it up again, it's right there instead of having to go back to the start and typing all that in any case. Click off and open it up. Now before we dive into this, what I want to do is give you an overall view of what you're seeing here. First of all, up at the top they have what's called the title bar, and anytime you open up PowerPoint it's going to give you just a generic name like Presentation 1, Presentation 2 until you actually save it and say this is my presentation or Kurt's presentation. Then over to the left hand side here you got the quick access toolbar. That's customizable. In fact, it's the only customizable toolbar that you have access to. In other words, you can put your print button on here. I've got my save as button so I can save it as a copy, and we'll show you how to customize that in the next training video. Then to the left of that you have your Office logo button. When you click on it, it gives you more options like creating new presentations, opening up old, saving, or saving as a copy. And when you hover over it, it expands. But you have two features here. You have the Save As. You can click and activate the Save As, or you can come over here to the right, this arrow is pointing to, and have more options. I'm going to click off in a blank area to close that, and we'll continue with that later. Like I said, this is just an overview. And then below that, you have what's called the ribbon. The ribbon is new to 2007, and you can see up at the top you have different tabs that you can go along with animations, slideshows. Now within each tab you have what are called groups. For example, over here I have the Start Slideshow group, then I have the Setup group and the Monitors group. If I go to the Design tab, I also have Page Setup. So in other words, if I say go to the Design tab in the Themes group and click on Colors, then you know Design tab, Themes group, click on Colors. Here's also a background group, and sometimes you'll see within groups a little button in the lower right hand corner. That's what they call the Expandable dialog box button. The keyword being expandable. It means that there's more to this group than meets the eye. Couldn't fit everything within this group, so if you want more options, more advanced options, go ahead and click on that little expandable button. Pops open a screen here. Sometimes it'll pop open a screen here. It'll pop open a task pane over to the left-hand side here. It just depends on the dialog box that you click on there. I'm going to go ahead and close out of this. You can see more on the Home tab. You got your Slides group, Font group, and then Expandable dialog box for your fonts. There's more advanced options for your fonts, more advanced options for your paragraphs. Then below your ribbon, you have two sections. You have the left section over here, which is the thumbnail preview of what you'll be working on over here in your main screen, which is the actual slide itself, which is the actual editable slide. So for example, anytime you open up PowerPoint, you're always going to get this blank slide here, what's called the title slide. Because anytime you're presenting something to somebody, you want to give them an idea of what you're covering. So for here, it's going to be training video. So I go ahead and click where it says click to add title, and then I just start typing. Training videos. And you can see the text box around here. That just means, hey, I can keep typing, and I got this much space for my text box or spacing. Click off in a blank area, come down here and add a subtitle and say it's by me. Then when I'm finished, click off in a blank area. You can see it over here. It's my editable slide. I can go ahead and click and edit these, click back in again and make changes. Over here is my thumbnail preview. So I get an overall view of not just the text that's on there, but as we're going to see later, the design and images or charts, anything else that I have. Let me click off in a blank area to get rid of that text box outline. Speaking of outlines, over here in your thumbnail preview, if I had more slides, it'd be number 1, 2, 3, 4, and I can add more slides, but we'll go over that later. Let me show you the outline tab. The outline tab just eliminates all images, graphics, anything like that, or background designs. It just gives you the text on each slide, but in outline format. So the heading of this slide here, the title is training videos, and that's why it's bold and that's why it's up at the top, and then the subtitle by me. So then I'd have a little icon slide 2 and additional text here if I had any text on those slides, and we'll cover that later. But back to slide view, takes me back to my beginning view here. You also have an X right here, so if you want more working space on your slide here, go ahead and close out of it. If you want to bring it back, there's two ways you can do it. You can either come over here to the left-hand side, and you'll notice that my pointer changes from a white pointer when I move far to the left here enough, changes into two black straight lines with arrows pointing in opposite directions. If I go ahead and click and drag, hold down my left mouse button, you can see I'm dragging that bar out, and I let go, boom, it brings it back. Click and drag to collapse it if I want, click and drag to bring it back. Close out of it. The second way I was going to tell you that you can pop that back open if you lose it, besides clicking and dragging, is coming up to your View tab, down to the Presentation Views group, and click on the Normal button, and it takes you back to normal. In fact, if you look at that, you can see your main little slide here, it's kind of tiny, and then your thumbnail view over here. So if you get lost at what view you're trying to look at, go to your View tab, and you'll notice when I click and close it, it still shows that it's active, like it's already highlighted, but really it's missing the thumbnail view over here, so you want to click on it again to bring it back. So don't let that fool you. Just because you close it doesn't mean that it's inactive now, like if I click on some other view. Just click on it again to bring it back up. You can also click and drag to stretch this open more, so if you want bigger thumbnails and less of a working area, that's fine too. Click on Normal View, and then I can go ahead and click and drag that back to, well, it's about as normal as I can get it here. Of course, you have your ruler here, your horizontal ruler and your vertical ruler, basically to help you measure and line up your images, objects, and so forth. Down below you have your add notes. So in other words, you have what you're giving or showing to everybody else. Then down below you can click in here and type in your own notes so you can print off. Because when you're giving a presentation, you may want to have notes before you that you can read off while you're giving the presentation. Maybe notes that says, okay, at this slide, go ahead and hand out goodies to everybody, or go ahead and hand out samples of your project. In any case, you can print those off and of course use them for yourself as you're giving your own presentation. Or if not, you don't have to print them off, you can just leave them here as notes of what this main slide's about here. So if you have anybody else collaborating with you on this slide, they can read what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. Maybe you have a designer, and maybe those are his notes. But know that you can print those out. And then finally down below you have the window frame, or the frame of the PowerPoint program, which gives you what slide you're on, slide 1 of 1, what theme you're using. It also has different views over here. You can start your slideshow. You can go to your normal view, which by the way, if you close out of here, let's see if it brings it back by clicking on normal view. Hey, it does. Looks like we have 3 ways now. Excellent. You have your normal zoom. Mine's at, well, I won't hover over it, but you can see right there it's at 66%. So if I click and drag the slider, I can zoom in and get a little bit more detailed with some of my text or objects, or just zoom back down here. Over to the right hand side we have fit slide to current window. Nothing changes, but what if I go ahead and click and drag it down to 44% and then click on fit to current window, brings it back up to about 66% it looks like. And then you have other options here. When you right click anywhere on the window frame, by default looks like all of them are selected. You got your zoom features, view shortcuts, permissions, signatures. Some of these things are checked, but they won't show up down here until you actually start working within the program itself and set up signatures and also permissions. So if there are permissions, a little icon will pop up, but since there are none, the icon's not popped up, but it's ready to pop up because it's checked here. In any case, you can turn these off by just simply, like for example, I want to get rid of the zoom slider. If I uncheck that, it gets rid of it over here. If I check it again, it brings it back up. To get rid of the shortcut menu that came up by right-clicking, just click off in a blank area. And then finally, probably the most important thing here is in the upper right-hand corner, you do have your X button. When you click on the X button, it closes out of the whole program here, or this presentation. You do have the Restore button. When you click on Restore, it brings it down just a little bit. So you can click and drag the title bar here to move your PowerPoint presentation program around. And then it changes. Instead of restoring down, you can now click on the button to maximize it. You can also click on the button here to minimize it, so it brings it down to the taskbar in case somebody's looking over your shoulder and you don't want them to see your top secret slide presentation. Then you can click on the button here in the taskbar to maximize it. Or when in doubt, you can always right-click on the button and say minimize, right-click on it to restore, and also right-click to close out. And then if you don't want to save any changes, you can go ahead and click no. I'll say no. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel, get notified of the latest videos, and for only $2 a month, you can have access to all my Microsoft Office training videos.